Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, dependent on where you're calling from. It is absolutely great to see you all piling in. It's nice to see a couple of familiar names. Those of you there where this is our first time meeting, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name's Mike. I'm one of the co-founders here at Waybook. Alongside me today is the fantastic Elle, who is in the chats, the Q&A, the comment section, and many of you may have met Elle before on the customer service. She leads our customer service team here at Waybook to make sure that you've always got everything you need and making sure that we can help as much as we possibly can. Now, over the next about 40 minutes or so, we're going to be sharing with you some of the exciting product updates that have been happening across Waybook over the last month or so. And our ambition here is to really just give you all of the insights into what's happening, also why it's happening, why we're making the changes that we are, and crucially, how you can utilize this in your Waybook account to make sure that your playbook and your Waybook is as optimal as it possibly can be. Now, as we move through this session, please feel free to keep it as conversational and two-way as possible. Those of you who know me will know that I'm much better speaking with people rather than monologuing for 40 minutes. So please do jump in the chat. Please do ask anything in the Q&A section, or of course, contact us in any other way. But to kick us off with, I know from the names I can see, we're in some various different places. So feel free to chuck in the chat where you currently are. I always like to see how far reaching these calls can get. I'm currently in London and it's beautiful weather, believe it or not. It's quite rare for us to be able to see that here. And I'll shout out a few of you as you can put your location in the chat there. But what are we going to be doing today? So in this next session, we're going to cover a few of the core updates which have happened in the last month. They include categories. This might have gone out just a bit before the month, but I wanted to make sure that we're sharing exactly what that looks like. We're also going to be looking at audit logs, which is relatively new. We have a brand new feature, which I'm not actually sure has been released yet, but if it's not been released yet, it will be released within the day. I think it's gone out. We roll things out to beta testers and then to full release. So it will be in every account very soon. And that is our much requested content review process. I'm very excited about it. And then we also have loads more embeds, which are constantly flying into your Waybook accounts. We've got a structure builder, which is particularly useful, particularly if you're earlier on in your Waybook journey. And then we have the template library, which came out about 6 weeks ago, but is constantly being changed and updated. Then, much to our developers and our engineering team's dismay, I will be sharing some of the things that are coming next to give you a sneak peek at what you can look forward to coming in the next few sessions. So in terms of locations, we've got some good ones. We've got South Carolina, hey Alexandra, Sophia's in Hartford. We've got a Brazil, ladies and gentlemen, that is amazing. Although, Natalia, we also have team in Brazil, and we've never been more smug in the UK here because it's way warmer in the UK than it is in Brazil. And Abigail, there, another person in Birmingham. And I've got a very good Birmingham accent that I can impress you with perhaps later if I want to embarrass myself even more. But before we dive into these features I want to share with you, I'll just launch a little bit of a poll to get a sense of what you do and what you're looking for with your Waybook account. And whilst you're doing that, I always like to kick these off with a bit of a success story. So one that I'd love to just share with you today is a guy called Josh Turner. Josh runs a company called Stand for Socks that is proclaimed to be the world's most comfortable socks, and they're pretty amazing as well. Now, Josh actually runs the business as a solo founder. It has been through incredible growth over the last 5 years. But one thing that Josh finds particularly difficult is because they have huge peak seasons around gifting times, around Christmas, and a few other times of the year, they actually have to increase and decrease their team quite rapidly and quite quickly. Previously, he was doing all of this himself. He did have Google Docs, Google Drive, a few different places. But about a year and a half ago, he actually decanted all of his knowledge and documents into the Waybook. And what he was saying when we spoke a few weeks ago was that he's actually reduced his onboarding time of new hires to 20% of the time it took previously. Now, for him, when he's onboarding customer service reps like nobody's business around Christmas, this just saves heaps of his time. But most importantly, he actually removed himself from all of those day-to-day operations. And he said because of the consistency, they were able to actually increase and maintain their Trustpilot score, which he says is one of the biggest cues to success within their business. So that's what Josh has done with Waybook. I know many of you done some amazing things, and let's dive into some of the features that will enable you to do that even better. Now, going back to the poll, we have the vast majority of people who've answered the poll, which isn't everyone, but I'll let you off, are in operations, which is amazing. So hello, ops heads. We've got a few founders there. Most people here are looking to either onboard new team members or general knowledge management or offboarding. And the vast majority of us are between, well, all of us on the call are between 1 and 100 team members. So that's great to see that we have some commonality between all of us. But let's begin. Let's dive into categories. Now, categories are a feature that have recently been released into Waybook. I must admit, it was a big conversation with loads of Waybook users and internal. There's been a lot of pros and cons around putting categories in. But the real reason why this became a topic of conversation is because, as we know, structure is everything within our Waybook accounts. So structure is what enables us to identify where all of our knowledge is. It enables our team members to be able to find that knowledge. Mirroring the structure of our organization is really important. But we kept on hearing some questions from different users, basically asking for another layer of structure within their team. Now, the reason why we were resistant to this originally is because Waybook has been designed to essentially structure and contain your content in the most logical, searchable, and structured way possible. And one of our main engineers here at Waybook was very concerned that as soon as we add another layer, we'll have to add another layer and another layer and another layer. And before you know it, the integrity of having our structured single source of truth could essentially be diminished. So after speaking with lots of customers, exploring different playbooks and best practices, we've opted to put in the categories layer. So what this is essentially an optional layer of organization which you can add within your account. So if you're relatively new to Waybook or you've not really structured all of your Waybook just yet, you might not have come across this feature yet. But essentially, the way it works is it's only visible when it's utilized. So it kind of just, everything will sit in your library. But when you create that layer of category, you can simply drag and drop a few different documents into different areas. Now, the way we've seen this being used particularly usefully is where businesses want to totally separate their either departmental layers, or if they're using their Waybook for a slightly different format. So a lot of people might be using some of their Waybook content for their client onboarding as well as their team onboarding. So what I'm going to do is just quickly jump into a Waybook account, and I'll just show you how categories look in the wild. So as you can see here on the left-hand side, if I toggle over into reader mode and collapse all, these here are the categories. Previously, we had the 3 layers of your subjects, your documents, and then your steps. But now you have the option to add in that additional layer of categories. So you can see here, you can separate your customer and sales, you can have your marketing, you can have your HR training. And this just enables you to keep a much neater view on your left-hand navigation. So at any point, you can have a more holistic view of all of the knowledge within your organization. And of course, only the relevant categories will be displayed to your team, dependent on what subjects they have access to. So if you wanted to play with this, if you go into edit mode and you go to the quick add, you can just click on new category, name that category. I will get more creative soon. I've just called that test category, but we'll create that test category and you'll see it just goes there at the bottom. Like all of your content within Waybook, you can drag and drop that, move that around, and of course, fill that test category up with a few different subjects. Now, this doesn't affect your permissions. So if somebody had marketing permission before and they had view access, then they'll still have that same view access, but in their left-hand navigation, they'll also see it under that new level of category. So that's your first feature release right there. Categories should hopefully give you that extra layer of structure and organization should you wish to use it. If you've got any questions, please do put them in the Q&A in the chat, and myself or Elle will jump straight onto them. Now, your second feature of the day is the audit logs. Now, audit logs are a really exciting one for us to build, and the reason why these initially came up was because we were hearing from people that there's so much activity on their Waybook account. People editing, contributing, reading, marking as complete, doing tests. And some people were requesting a holistic view of everything that's happening on their account. Now, of course, many of you already know that you can look at all of the version history of all of your individual documents and steps. But if you wanted that global view, either to see the situation that's happening, or specifically if you're looking for that from a compliance reason, now you have the audit log to enable that. To give a bit of context to the compliance, because within Waybook you have the ability to mark as complete and unmark as complete, which is particularly useful for people who are doing repetitive processes or repetitive checklists. Some people were concerned that perhaps if they had a test, a piece of knowledge that they required somebody to complete, for example, health and safety or accepting terms, they thought potentially there's the option that somebody would unmark that as complete in the future, obviously changing that within reports, and then they wouldn't have that backstop of compliance. So now, if you're able to see all of the activity that's happened, all of the historical activity, including marked and unmarked steps. So you can easily navigate to this within your Waybook account, within your global settings, and I'll show you just how you do that. So I'll jump back into that Waybook account now. And as we can see here, I can navigate to settings, I can go into audit log, and you'll see here a long history of all of the activity that's happened on the account. You can search that by name or by kind of step type or whatever you want. And we can see here, for example, that Elle, just shortly before this webinar on the demo account, you can tell we were prepping way in advance. She has actually marked this step as incomplete. So she's marked as incomplete, following up on approach. Now, a lot of people do this so they can actually go back and reabsorb the content. And just to show you what that looks like on the reader side, if I jump into a document here, as I go through and I mark something as complete, I actually have the option to go back, either mark that as incomplete or actually reset the whole document. And a lot of people do that, as I said, so they can re-go through information in their own time. So the audit log puts you back in full control, knowing exactly what's happened, exactly who's doing what. And that actually pairs with the history, the version history on each step. So I wasn't going to share this, but in case you haven't seen this, you know, when somebody updates a piece of information or something process changes over time, you can always just click into your content settings, click on history, and then you're able to see all of the different historical changes that have been made. So for example, we can see that Flavio has edited this step on July the 7th. Now I want to see what that step change is. I'll put them side by side. We can look at what those changes are and even revert back to the previous version. If you've changed your process, your scripts, whatever you're using, doesn't quite matter. You can go back to a previous piece of knowledge or information. So that's audit logs with a bonus, of course, of your I've forgotten what it's called, of your change history there. But really, between those two things, you have full control of all of the activity happening on your accounts, and of course, all of the historical information and knowledge as it changes and as it grows. Next up, we have the content review process. This one I'm particularly excited about, and this has come from a few conversations that we've had previously. Now, the reason why this came about was because we found out and quickly saw, even from our own uses before we built Waybook, that collaboration around the playbook of your business is absolutely key. Now, I know many of you on the call will not be the only one who are creating the content. And essentially, that's because nobody in any business has all of the answers, of course. A lot of people, when they're creating their Waybook, will create that high-level structure, and they'll tag in their managers, tag in their department heads, and maybe even then they'll pass that baton on to the people who are actually doing the work to really write down the processes and procedures, the way things are currently being done, which then gives that global view for the managers and the business owners and the operations head like yourself to basically say, okay, maybe we change it a step, maybe we adapt and grow. So essentially, we have lots of people with various different permissions on your account. So what we've done now is previously when you would make a change, it would flag as an unpublished change on the account with somebody who has publish access. But there was, of course, the challenge that you would log into your account and then you would look for the little unpublished change icon, and then you'll be able to go in, look at the changes that have been made, and then you can publish if you would like to share that with the rest of your team. But now we have a very straightforward review process. What this enables you to do, as you can see in this screenshot, is for anybody with edit access to make contributions to your content. And instead of just leaving it for somebody to pick up, what they're able to do now is to push for review. They'll choose who, one or multiple people, they want to be able to review that. They can even add comments, and then when that email will be sent to the publisher to say, whatever you put in your comment, hey, Elle, I've made this change. What do you think of it? And then that person's able to go and review the changes and publish as appropriate. So this is by default in everybody's account, and it's automatically visible for anybody with edit access. So let me just show you exactly what that looks like. I know many of you are admins, so you might not actually see this. You'll just get the emails saying, hey, I've made this change. What do you think? And in order to do that, I'll just go into a different Waybook account here. So this is the same account, but I'm on a different profile where I only have edit access. So if I go onto this step, I can take control of that step as an editor, and I might want to add a change in here. Now, as you know, everything within your Waybook account is automatically saved. And you'll notice here, if you're an admin, you'll see that publish icon, but now any editors will see submit for review. Now within submit for review, I'll be able to search the members I want to send that to. So let's give that to Elle, who's in there twice, nice. But also maybe I want to send that to, let's send it to the boss man, let's send it to James. Now, as I mentioned, you can add that message in. So hi folks, I've added in some fantastic content. What do you think? And just simply submit that. It will now say that all the changes have been submitted, and Elle and James will now be getting an email requesting them to log back into that account and be able to make that change and make that publish. Now, I am also an admin on that account, of course. You can see it on the other screen. So if I change back to that admin view here, I'll be able to take control of that step, see those unpublished changes, and then make those changes live should I wish. So that is your push for review. We're very excited about it, and hopefully it will really make it much easier in order for you to have your consistent workflow. Is this launched yet, Sophia? Great question. That, my friend, is a question that I should definitely know the answer to, but I'm gonna panically looking at Elle, who will answer that in the chat. And it is released. We pushed it to some beta users for full testing, and it's actually the release week of that this week. So if it's not in your account now, it will be in your account within the next day or so. And Elle's bailed me out by saying yes, so it's released, which is amazing. Now, as you know, thanks Natalia for the hyping there. I appreciate that. So to the next feature, we have the embeds. Now, we are always adding additional embeds within Waybook. Our ambition for you is to have Waybook as your single source of truth. Any question, any query, any unknown, any know-how, we don't want you wasting your time answering that question. We want your team to be able to answer those questions within your Waybook. And essentially that single source of truth, of course, we can put the content in there ourselves, but we know that tools make the world go around, and we have various different knowledge and information in a few different types of tools. So what we've made a strong effort to here is always make sure that no matter what you're looking to integrate within the knowledge of your business, you're able to seamlessly put that within your Waybook account. So what we've done in the last month is we've added in Canva embeds, we've added in I'm going to have to click through a few here. Infinity, Vid Tags, Lucid Visual Collaboration Suite, HubSpot Forms, and a few others. Now, the way you access all of this is as you would with any of your other embeds. You're able to select the web embed node type when on the content editor and just simply paste in that embed code. Now, the best thing with this here is that we're always fully open and fully excited to integrate any of the content that you're looking to do. The reason why this isn't fully open and we configure it on our side is just to make sure that all of the knowledge and content in everybody's Waybook is always 100% safe and secure. So we don't have a publicly open API. But what you are able to do is jump in here, click the plus icon within the editor, go to your web embed, and you just paste that embed link in there. So we've got a Canva design here, for example, a Canva video, and you'll see there it's just embedded directly in. So we have a huge amount of web embeds and integrations which are already within there. As Els just put in the chat, if you've got any questions or want any support on embedding more of your content within Waybook, there is a Help Center article and we're always fully available to help. You can click on this link here to view all of the supported sources. And if you want to embed something that isn't already on that list, please let us know and we'll get that in as quickly as we possibly can. So that's your web embeds, making sure that everything always stays on the same page. The next one, this is our penultimate one, is the structure builder. So the structure builder links to everything that it seems to be my accidental catchphrase, that structure is everything. And really we found out that actually when people are creating their Waybook accounts, sometimes it takes quite a long time for us to find that perfect structure that mirrors our knowledge and our organization. Now, there's been a lot of effort in Waybook to make sure that that is always flexible and adaptable and free to grow and change as your business does. So you can drag and drop, move, edit, hide, duplicate content to your heart's desire. But we still found that some people were asking, where do I start? And what am I potentially missing if they've got their knowledge in, but they want to centralize more of their content? So what we've done is we've created a simple structured template for your business. Now, this is arguably more valuable if you're just starting on your Waybook journey. But what you're able to do is navigate to the Waybook structure builder, and you're able to just answer a couple of questions and we'll suggest a structure that we think is right for your business. Now, what we're continuing to develop on this as well. So we are working with lots of different businesses, and our process experts are continuing to build out new structures that are based on best practice across the board. And we're also going to be putting in industry selections for your structure as well. So the way you do this, if you're already in your Waybook account, if you're new to Waybook, the onboarding flow will now enable you to select your structure. People who signed up many moons ago, you would have automatically been given a structure in your Waybook. And if you're in that middle ground, then I'm sorry, you might have come in when there wasn't that structure template in either of those formats. So you can simply just put content structure in your Waybook URL, and I'll show you exactly how you do that now, just in case you did want to go back in this, even if you wanted to refine your existing structure. So from any of your Waybook accounts, if you just go to the URL and put the structure after content, then that will take you to the structure builder, where you can actually put that content in there and see all of the subjects and the documents that we recommend for that size of business. Now, the one thing to bear in mind here is that this is structure, not your content. And the reason why we do this separately is because many of us actually come to Waybook and you have all of your knowledge in Google Docs, in Drive, in Notion. I know a few of you have it in paper binders as well, but I'm not gonna pick you out on this webinar. But essentially, we have a lot of the knowledge. So part of the battle here is actually making sure we've got all of the structure that we want to have. And even if we're not putting that information in right now, we can leave it as draft, leave it as unpublished, and something that we come back to later. You can, of course, then create a category of in development. So say, for example, we put your structure in. You might want to delete a few of those out. You might want to remove them, change them a little bit. And you can just drag those subjects into a development category. So let me just change that category, the test category, into in development. So once you apply your content structure, you can then say, right, well, these subjects, this whole subject we're going to put into the in development category. You can keep that at the bottom, and that's a great way for us to almost have a mental to-do list of what we're looking as we're continuing to build out our Waybook. The big thing to bear in mind here is that our knowledge within our organization will always be changing, growing, and adapting. We've been process driven for a very long time across our businesses, and even now we're figuring out things like, oh, of course we should document that, because then we don't have to do it again, or we don't have to explain it again. So there'll always be things that we're continuing to add. So that is your structure builder. Hopefully that will be particularly useful for some of you, especially in that earlier stage of growing your Waybook. And the final one, which actually pairs quite nicely with this, is your template library. Now, the template library was launched about 6 weeks ago, but the reason why I wanted to highlight it here, because it's always in development on our side, and our process experts are actually working with a lot of our Waybook customers and also experts in their own field to create the best SOPs, the best practice, the best insights that you can then insert into your Waybook and uplift all of your insights, knowledge, and operations. So the reason why we came across this is because our practice is best practice. Our aim is to relieve senior leaders from the whirlwind of the day-to-day of their operations. And actually, if we can enable people to do that easier and faster with templates, then that is right up aligned to our mission and our aims. And we also heard people asking that question again, what am I missing? What more can we be putting into our Waybook? So it's a structured, the template library houses all of the core SOPs, which the vast majority of businesses would need to have. We have process experts that are continually writing these. And the best part within this is, because this is always going to be a work in progress, we really encourage members like you of the community to just request specific templates. If you're looking to figure something out, please let us know, and we'll get the process experts to do the research, to work with other people who are doing this particularly well, create an amazing template for that, and then we'll get that put straight into your account. So the way you navigate to that is always accessible when you're in edit mode on your account, and you're able to apply those templates to any of your Waybook subjects. So if I just navigate back to that account for the final reason, for the final time, at the bottom here, you'll be able to see this templates tab. So clicking on templates, you'll see the core categories which we have. So the Waybook company templates, these are things about how you create engaging content and pieces of information to help you create an amazing Waybook, all the way down to customer success. So support basics, customer knowledge, product knowledge, introducing team. We have things about marketing tools and all different bits within that. So to highlight a couple of those, and actually if we just click into company templates and we have performance review, this will be an example of a template which you might have of a performance review. So these might be the steps. These are based on best practice from our process experts. And you can use this template by just selecting which subject to put that in. So if it's performance review, let's put that into HR, and we'll add that in there. Now that will just put it straight into our HR subject. So this is now in there as a document. And now we can go in, we can make the necessary edits, adjustments, everything we need to make it right for us. There's also other exciting things like telephone manner. I mean, who thought? Of course, we should be standardizing that and optimizing that as a team. So we've got a few different things in here to kind of make sure that you're being consistent if you're using telephones within your business on a repeated basis. I sound like an old man there. If you're using telephones in your business, of course you are. But if that's a core part of how you're running your workflows. So that is the template library. We're really excited to get more and more of those templates into your Waybook and release some of the pressure of creating all of your best practice from scratch. The one thing there, and I think Els put it in there, some of our templates have come from some Waybook accounts. So actually, when we released the template library, we heard from some members that were like, hey, I have built the best process out for SEO, or I've built the best process out for sales. And actually, you'll see within here, the performance review procedure, for example, was actually given by Organizing Works, which is one of our Waybook users. And we've also got plumbing directories and things like that, which are coming from Will at Roseborn Plumbing. So we're really loving working with the community on this. So if you want a template, please ask us. If you want to give a template and show off your best practice, it's all credited to you, then that's an amazing thing to do. And we'd love to hear from you on that. So just heading back in now, and I told you about 40 minutes, so we'll keep us to time, don't you worry. A little sneak peek at what's coming next. So we are always building, as I know you can see, and I hope is valuable to you. So we have a new look navigation coming very, very soon. And we're actually sharing this with a few people. If you want a first look of that, please let us know, because we'd love to kind of show you what it looks like and get your thoughts and feedback before it rolls out to other customers. Natalia, why are you reading ahead of my slides? I appreciate you're excited, but come on. No, as Natalia has said there in the chats, due dates is on the top of, or very near the top of the roadmap. This has been a really interesting one for us to tackle, and we're loving speaking to customers about how we can make due dates work. So this is essentially due dates against your content, and we have a few different versions of this which we're going to be releasing over the coming months. And we have a big project at the moment, which is an improved step editor. So the improved step editor will be releasing a lot of features into your Waybook account, a great way for you to create more dynamic content, embed more sources, and also speed up your time and ease of creating really readable, really consistent content as well. And so much more, but I'll get in trouble if I tell you any more than that. We do, of course, have a public roadmap that's always accessible for you to be able to have a look at what's coming next. And as you know, if you know us well, we're always love speaking to anybody using Waybook. And we really do listen to the words that you say and the requests that you have and the opinions that you have. So whoever else wants to speak to us, we're always all ears, and we're always willing to kind of shuffle priorities to make sure that Waybook continues to be the most valuable tool for you to get your whole business on the same page. Now, if you've been to any of these webinars before, you'll know that there's something that I like to do just to wrap up at the end here. And that is, of course, the swag giveaway. So Elle is in the background randomly picking out a name. We actually do use a name generator just to avoid any bias within this. So Elle, if you're ready, could you please share with us who is the winner of the swag giveaway for this session? And this is also the reason why a lot of people stay to the end, isn't it? Just because you can't argue with free swag. Dawn! Congratulations, Dawn. You are the free swag giveaway for this session. So thanks so much to all of you for coming, and a big congratulations to Dawn. We will be following up with you, Dawn, to make sure that you're looking lovely in your Waybook merch. And depending on where you are, you might go for a jumper or a hat or whatever you want. There's a water bottle which is on there now, which I particularly like. So that rounds us up to the end of your product updates for July 2022. Thank you all so much for coming. We really look forward to seeing you next month. If you have any questions, now is the time. And we'll be keen to answer any questions that you've got, or of course, follow up after the call. That is, I mean, we've got gymnastic emojis from Dawn, which is honestly fantastic, but no questions, which is great, I think. From Natalia, thank you very much, Natalia. That's really great and lovely to hear. Thank you so much for coming and for your continued energy as well. Amazing. Well, I wish you all a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Thanks so much once again for joining. We look forward to seeing you next month. And of course, please always feel free to get in touch, to request templates, share templates, request video embeds, or different embed types. Give us any thoughts, feedback that you have. If you want to get more involved in the beta program, we're always excited to release new features to accounts sooner to get your thoughts and feedback. And we cannot wait to continue to see you grow and succeed with Waybook on your side. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye now.